So in this video today, we are going to be talking about Nikola Motors stock versus Tesla. So personally, I have invested in Nikola Motors. I don't have any investments within Tesla, but a lot of people are very confused about these two companies. They don't understand what the differences are, or even if there are any similarities whatsoever. So there are definitely some similarities between Nikola and Tesla, but there's also some huge differences between these two companies and the business models they are operating. So what we're going to cover in this video are the key differences between these two companies. Now, back on May 11th, I did a video talking about this Vecto IQ reverse merger with Nikola Motors. And as mentioned in that video, I decided to buy some shares of that holding company before the reverse merger took place. So I ended up buying 51 shares of VTIQ at a cost basis of $18.96 per share. And at the time during that video, that stock closed at $20.38 per share. Well, now that that reverse merger has taken place, that stock went soaring and it is now double or triple that price. So not trying to toot my own horn here, but I am going to, pat myself on the back a little bit as I was somebody who was pretty early on that trend with that Vecto IQ acquisition. And there's actually another reverse merger going on right now with a company called SHLL, and I might do a dedicated video on that. If you guys want to see me do that, just go ahead and drop a like on this video. If I get enough interest, I will do a dedicated video on SHLL as I purchased shares of this company as well. Now, I have no immediate plans to sell my 51 shares of Nikola Motors. In my opinion, right now that price is totally irrational and illogical. However, I like the company as a long-term investment, so I'm going to hold on to them unless something drastic happens. If the price doubled again or something, I might consider selling. But for the time being, I'm going to hold on to my shares. And lastly, guys, before we get into the comparison here, I just have to make this disclaimer that this is not financial advice. You always need to do your own due diligence before investing in the stock market or picking stocks. And I also own shares of Nikola Motors. That being said, guys, let's get into the comparison. Alright guys, so the very first thing I want to look at between Tesla and Nikola Motors is what does the general public think these companies are worth? And the best way to determine that is looking at the market capitalization. So first of all, Tesla being a larger, more well-established company, let's start by looking at Tesla. So Tesla stock has done exceptionally well over the last year here, and if we take a look at the current share price, it is worth just under $1,000 per share. That gives Tesla a market capitalization of around $180 billion. So based on the money invested by shareholders, the company has a value of about $180 billion, which makes this one of the most valuable auto manufacturers out there, despite the fact that they don't have large market share yet. On the other hand, we have Nikola Motors, which, as you guys can see from that stock chart, has had a meteoric rise here based on the reverse merger that took place with Vecto IQ. So based on the current share price, which is around $73 per share, the market has given Nikola Motors a value of around $26 billion. That means that Tesla is worth about 7 times that of Nikola Motors. So one of the very first things we have to understand here when comparing these two stocks is that Tesla has a much larger market cap or market valuation. But there's a good reason for that, and this is based on the company revenue. Now, real quick, guys, before we get into the revenue of these companies, this right here is the Webull investing platform. It's completely commission-free, and if you want to check it out, there's a link down below. If you sign up, you're going to get 2 stocks completely free just for opening up a brokerage account and funding it with $100. So be sure to check that out at the end of this video. So now we're going to jump over to Yahoo Finance because I want to look at the revenue numbers for Tesla, and then we'll talk about the situation that we have with Nikola Motors. So if we take a look at the income statement here from Tesla, we can see that this company is in fact generating revenue, and they're also growing revenue year after year. Back in 2017, it was around 11 billion. 2018, substantial growth there to 21 billion. And in fiscal year 2019, they finished out just shy of $25 billion in revenue. Now, revenue is not the end all be all, and if we take a look at the net income here, we can see this company is still not profitable. In 2017, they lost about 1.9 billion. 2018, they lost 976 million. 2019, they lost 862 million. But over the 12 trailing months, they have lost a much smaller amount of money. But if we take a look at this here on a quarterly basis, we can see that they are actually profitable, or they have been over the last couple of quarters. In quarter 3 of 2019, that was a net income of 143 million. In quarter 4 of 2019, it was net income of 105 million. Quarter 1 of 2020, it is net income here of 16 million. So they are very slightly profitable. So the situation here with Tesla is that revenue is growing year after year. It was around 25 billion last year, and they are a profitable company by a very slim margin. Now, on the other hand, we have Nikola Motors, and this company is considered to be pre-revenue. So what does that mean exactly? Well, Nikola Motors doesn't have a product to sell yet, so they have no means of deriving revenue. They did have a very negligible amount of revenue that came from engineering contracts, but this is not a company that is anywhere near turning a profit, and they haven't even sold any products yet. But because investors are so excited about the future growth potential of this company, a lot of that future growth is priced into today's number. So we essentially have a company with a valuation of over $20 billion that hasn't had any revenue come in yet. Now, one thing investors focused on was this line right here from their press release. It says, Nikola's pre-orders represent more than $10 billion in potential revenue, and they have a very exciting deal with Anheuser-Busch, which seems like it could be great for this company. But when you look into the pre-order situation here, you realize that they did not have any type of commitments for these orders, and there was no deposit. So a better way to look at this is that there's $10 billion of open interest of companies purchasing the Nikola semi-trucks. Now, just like when Tesla started out, this company is expected to lose money year after year. In fact, since founding in 2015, they have lost $188.5 million, and that is expected to continue. But the important part is here, through this reverse merger, they were able to gain access to capital and issue more shares. As you can see here, it says Nikola was able to raise more than $700 million. The exact figure is around $735 million, and that is capital they have access to in order to basically develop these trucks and eventually be able to derive some kind of revenue from selling these vehicles. So right now, anybody investing in this company is banking on the fact that they're going to develop a product that people want to purchase, and down the road, after losing money, they will eventually be able to do what Tesla has done and have some type of profitability, which should grow over time after all this upfront investment in technology, as well as production and things like that. Now, it's important to understand that Nikola is forecasting $0 in revenue in 2020, but $1 billion in revenue by the year 2023. So that is what they are looking to achieve. Even at $1 billion in revenue, however, that is a very small amount compared to the revenue that their key competitor Tesla is currently doing, coming in at around $25 billion for 2019. All right, so now let's talk about the different products these companies are offering, because this is where we start to see some key differences between Tesla and Nikola Motors. Right here on Tesla's website, we can see one of the key differentiators, and that is the fact that Tesla is involved in the solar business. Now, both Nikola and Tesla are involved in energy generation and energy storage, but it's very different types of clean energy. Back in 2016, Tesla actually acquired a company called Solar City, which has allowed them to enter the solar business. And this all lumps in together because this allows people who have Tesla vehicles to charge their vehicles with solar for 100% clean and renewable energy. On the other hand, Nikola Motors is also involved in the energy business, but instead of using electricity, they are also using hydrogen fuel cells. So Tesla operates in two different business segments. First of all, the one that people are most familiar with, which is automotive, and the second segment is energy generation and storage. So Tesla is essentially developing the solar panels that you can see here on this house, as well as the energy storage systems here, leveraging their battery technology. Now, their most successful product and the most well-known one is their passenger vehicles. And this is very interesting because when we take a look at the lineup here for Nikola Motors, they're not going after this market at all so far. Down the road, it's unclear whether or not they will, but right now, Tesla is not competing with Nikola Motors in that sense. The only passenger vehicle they're going to be offering out of the gate is this truck here called the Nikola Badger. It is a passenger truck and it competes with the Tesla Cybertruck, but they do not offer any passenger cars currently and they don't have any in their lineup. Now here's where there is some direct competition between Nikola and Tesla, and that is in the commercial trucking industry with the Tesla Semi. Tesla is going to be releasing a semi-truck, and that is the core market that Nikola is going after. The only big difference here is that Tesla is 100% electric, while Nikola is going to offer both electric as well as hydrogen fuel cell trucks and some that utilize both types of energy. So right now, it's important to understand that the only products that Tesla is selling right now is their passenger vehicles as well as their solar panels and their battery storages. They don't sell the semi-truck yet and they don't offer the Cybertruck yet either. So now when we take a look at Nikola Motors here, we can see what their core business is. First of all, the motor company, which is going to be the semi-trucks, as well as that Nikola Badger. And then very similarly here to Tesla, they're also an energy company, but instead of just involving electricity, they are mostly focused on hydrogen fuel cells. And lastly, we have Powersports, which is pretty interesting because it's not really a market Tesla is going after, except for the Tesla ATV, which we will cover shortly. And it is funny because I read that Elon Musk referred to hydrogen fuel cells as fool cells. He doesn't believe in the technology, but it's also funny because the CEO of Nikola Motors has said that Nikola, the company, actually loves Tesla, and he says if you take a look at their parking lot on a given day, a lot of people drive Tesla vehicles. So the idea of these companies being direct competitors, I think the more and more we dig into what they're actually doing, the different business models and the products, we can see that these companies will very likely be able to coexist with each other since they are going after different markets. There is, of course, some overlap here with the semi-trucks as well as the Tesla Cybertruck and the Nikola Badger. And as mentioned, Tesla is looking to offer an ATV, which is going to be what they are doing here as well with Powersports. But there are also some key differentiators in terms of the products being offered. So under the Nikola Motor Company, they're going to be offering 3 different semi-trucks as well as that Nikola Badger, which is the passenger truck. The very first one they're going to release here is the Nikola Tre and the Nikola Badger. These two are going to come down the line once they build their production facility in Arizona, but we'll cover that shortly. Then we have the energy company, and this is where we're going to see massive investment of capital in Nikola building out a network of hydrogen fueling stations. And this right here is a map of where Nikola Motors is going to build these fueling stations at a cost of around $15 to $20 million a pop. Because if they are offering hydrogen fuel cell semis, they need to offer fueling stations very similar to the Tesla charging stations that are now all over across the United States. Now this is of course a massive capital investment, but Nikola Motors was just able to raise around $700 million, which should help them out. Now, Nikola Motors doesn't just want to offer these fueling stations, they also want to be in the energy generation business. So they want to generate the energy, convert it into hydrogen fuel cells on site, offer rapid charging, and pretty much have this be a one-stop shop that is fully self-sustainable and with zero emissions. Now, what's interesting here is that they are claiming that with hydrogen fuel cells, it is going to be a much faster process for refueling these vehicles. According to this snippet right here, heavy-duty fast fueling with hydrogen is being developed by Nikola with an industry consortium with unique HD hardware standardized to fill in less than 15 minutes, similar to diesel today. Now, if they're going after the commercial market, it's very important that it's comparable to diesel in terms of fill-up time, since a lot of these truck drivers are paid by the hour. It wouldn't be cost-effective for them to be sitting there for an hour while they charge their batteries. Now, there's a lot more to this in terms of looking at electric vehicles versus hydrogen fuel cells. That is well above and beyond my knowledge, so that's the extent we're going to cover here. But it's two different schools of thought and two very different technologies. So you have Tesla all in on the electric market and Nikola in a blend here of both hydrogen fuel cells and electric battery operated vehicles. Now, lastly, we have the Nikola Powersports, which is very interesting because this is a segment that Tesla doesn't seem to be going after, except for releasing an ATV, which is different than these vehicles, and potentially a motorcycle down the road. Now, Nikola calls these OHVs or off-highway vehicles, and they're going to be offering them to both civilians as well as for military applications. Essentially, you have this Nikola NZT, which is designed for use for basically civilians, and then you have the Nikola Reckless, which is going to be for more military applications. So obviously, if Nikola could get the US government to purchase millions of dollars of this vehicle, that would be very beneficial to that company, and similar to a situation where you have a company like Boeing benefiting from government contracts for things used in military applications. And then the last vehicle they have here under the off-highway vehicles is the Nikola Wave, which is a jet ski, which is 100% electric. Same with the last two off-highway vehicles we looked at. Now, the last thing I want to cover here in terms of the differences between these companies is production. Tesla produces and manufactures all of their vehicles in these factories. They are massive investments that cost around $500 million, and they have a few of these in different parts of the world. Nikola Motors, on the other hand, doesn't plan on producing their first vehicles themselves, which is a very interesting decision. So the first vehicles they're going to release are the Nikola Badger, which is the passenger truck, and according to this article right here, they are in talks with 3 established automakers over a deal to who is going to build this vehicle for them. So rather than investing hundreds of millions of dollars into factories to build these vehicles initially, they're going to rely on somebody who already has those factories built. This is going to allow them to save a lot of money, and they're not going to have to build a factory right out of the gate to produce these first vehicles that they offer. And then as far as the commercial market goes here, the first truck they're going to release is the Tre semi-truck, which is the smallest one. It is 100% electric, and they've already made a deal with an Italian truck manufacturer to manufacture this vehicle for them for sale in Europe. Another key differentiator here between these companies is that Nikola is including a full package here of both the vehicle as well as service and fueling. So if you purchase a Nikola semi-truck, what you're paying for includes all of the service and all of the fueling at the stations. However, they are not interested in the service business, so they are going to be farming that out as well. Right now, they have deals with Ryder and Thompson Machinery for completing that service-related work and maintenance. Now, down the road, Nikola is going to be involved in the production of their vehicles, in particular the hydrogen fuel cell semis, and they're breaking ground on their Arizona factory in July. Now, this is going to be a 12 to 18 month project, so essentially what they're doing is having other well-established manufacturers building the initial launch vehicles and then taking that money and taking their time to build their factory in Arizona. So anyways, guys, there you have it. Those are the key differences between Nikola Motors and Tesla. A lot of people think they're basically the same company and that there can only be one winner here. But in my opinion, based on the research I've done, I think both Tesla and Nikola can thrive based on the key differentiators between these companies. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I would love to hear what your thoughts are on both Nikola Motors and Tesla Motors. And as mentioned earlier, if you guys want to grab those 2 free stocks from Webull, that is the top link down in the description below. But thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.